been a lot of conversation, not just between the Democrats versus Republicans and who will ultimately prevail, but a GOP revolt within the party itself. Joining me from either side, Pax Hart is a Republican strategist, also a Trump supporter, and Matt Johnson, who is a Cruz and Rubio supporter. Let me, take it to you first, Pax. Do you feel that Donald Trump has sealed his candidacy tonight?
I think a lot of people started seeing that before tonight, which is why you've started seeing some conservative lawmakers, Republican lawmakers stepping forward and giving him their endorsement. I think it's fantastic for the party. We're having historic turnout for the primary process. I think this is totally on the coattails of Donald Trump. He's reinvigorated the party. I think this is a win for the GOP. I think this is a win for the American middle class, and I think this is going to be a win for America.
Matt, what do you make of that? A win for America? Because, all this conversation aside about Democrats hitting out at Donald Trump or even the media criticizing him at a lot of different opportunities, it's not just that. It's the Republicans themselves who are not too happy.
Oh, I know. Yes, absolutely. Basically, I'm looking to see who could or would pull ahead of Trump, whether it be Rubio or Cruz, because I can see the emotional appeal of Donald Trump and the sort of grandiose character appeal of Donald Trump, but I'm concerned that the man doesn't have principles. And, these things like eminent domain and these kinds of issues, I don't see him as being enough of a constitutionalist, enough of a principled advocate of freedom, enough of a concern with individual rights. And so that is what makes me concerned with Donald Trump taking too much of the spotlight. He's like the wild card. And so I'd like to see somebody who is a safer advocate of constitutionalism.
Pax, at one point in time, there was also this conversation that Donald Trump will not survive to this stage. He'll probably make a lot of headlines playing with the social media and his reality show strategy on the political campaign, but it won't survive. What has changed?
I think if you take away the showmanship, the reality show, which is actually very appealing to the working class Americans in ways that Mitt Romney could never connect with people, Donald Trump has connected with working class Americans. We're starting to see Democrats and independents moving over to support Donald Trump, which is fantastic. He is really expanding the tent of the GOP. A lot of people, they never took him seriously because of his background, but, before he was an entertainer, he was a very, very successful businessman. It's something that I believe that America needs. They need that strategy. They need a very good executive. He's actually a very moderate Republican. He has...
You think he's going to change his tone after winning the primaries? You think he's not going to be talking, anti-immigration, anti-Mexicans, anti-Muslims? Talking about the KKK, all that is going to change?
Well, a lot of this kind of anti-talk that you mentioned, a lot of that is being spoken about him. It's not coming directly from him. What gets missed in a lot of that is when he talks about immigration, when he talks about foreign trade, he's actually saying America is not. America is not being put first in these issues. We're losing out on trade. We're losing jobs. All of our production is going overseas. So he has a couple of core issues: immigration and foreign trade, which are directly impact working class Americans. And that's regardless of people's party. I think once he gets out of the primary, once he becomes the nominee, I think a lot more people who right now may have not actually been following him that closely, they've been reading the headlines, but they haven't actually been listening to him, to his speeches or his positions. I think they're going to realize that, yes, he's actually a pretty viable candidate.
Matt, I'm going to ask you this. Will that change your mind? If Donald Trump wins the nomination, will you change your mind? Will you say, listen, there are some qualities, maybe he was playing this for the media, maybe he was playing this for the voters, I will still go and vote for the Republican presidential nominee, or would you even change your allegiance?
Well, this is exactly the perennial problem I have voting for Republicans, is so often I have to hold my nose and go into the booth. And if Donald Trump is the nominee, I have to weigh the concern that Rhino Republicans have given a bad name to the Republican Party, and they make it sound as though capitalism and freedom is mixed with big government in some way that's corrupt. And that's an understandable confusion. Now, when Obama or somebody who's known to be a big government type is in power and they're pursuing big government policies, the name matches the actions. But if you go back in time to George W. Bush, the mismatch of the name of what he was doing, he was thought to be an advocate of capitalism when he wasn't. He was pursuing bank bailouts and things like this. Then enormous confusion ensues, and this is what gives a negative name to capitalism and to the Republican Party. And so this is what concerns me, that somebody like Donald Trump, who, these issues like the surveillance state and eminent domain, they are very important issues of human freedom and individual freedom. And he has this authoritarian air and authoritarian mentality that really concerns me. So I would have to consider very carefully whether I could hold my nose and pull the lever.
All right, thank you so much, gentlemen. A lot of soul searching, I'm sure, on both sides from the Republican voter base there. But Donald Trump right now making his speech in Florida, obviously winning by a significant victory margin. Whether these margins will be enough to guarantee his nomination is the question that everyone will be debating.